your best bicep picture, and you think, oh, how I've got to find 5 people that won't be offended if I forward this on.
Welcome to the Gym and Tonic Podcast with me, Tim Chase, and today I am joined by the man who is shredded literally every day of the year, and I don't know how, Mr. Kev Rowlands. How you doing, Kev?
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you?
Mate, I am good. I think that's probably the only way to describe you, a man who has gone from fat to fit and stayed there ever since.
I don't quite know how sometimes, to be honest, but it seems that way.
That's what we're here for today. Before we go into, because we're going to talk about competition prep, getting lean, and mental battles. I mean, how old are you, Kev? This is the thing that no one believes me.
49.
This is mad. It is mad. It is mad. And when did you start getting into training?
So I probably, like most guys, I think, toyed with the gym for quite a few years. So probably in my 20s, I started going to the gym. But yeah, I mean, I guess around that time, I moved to London. I was taking advantage of partying and doing all those things. So I used to go all the time, but I never really looked that great. You know, I kind of kept the weight off to a point, but you would never look at me and think, oh, he's ripped. And every time I went on holiday, every year I do one of those diets to try and look good. Yeah. And I thought I did until I got there. And then in the bright sunlight, I thought, no, you don't. So that would kind of be a theme all the time. So I think by the time I took it seriously, I knew quite a bit, but I'd never seen the results that in my head I wanted to see, I guess. So there's probably a good 10 or 15 years of going to the gym, but just like most people do it.
That makes sense. I completely forgot. It was only then when we pressed record that I remembered that transformation, because I shared that on my story. Because I was going to talk to you purely about comp prep, but I really feel like before we go into that, we should quickly go into how the hell you even got to even thinking about competing, because it is like, I put that on my story and I've got personal trainers messaging me saying that is amazing, you know. So the transformation you made is like mind-blowing. That's pretty more mind-blowing than the prep. So what was the change? What firstly, what made you want to suddenly kick yourself into gear, and what was the main thing you changed that I think gave you those sort of results? What do you think it was?
I think there are a couple of factors, really. The first thing was I'd come out of what I call my party phase. And interestingly, I think I was coming up to a point where I knew I had quite a clear run of time, even though I was busy with work, but I didn't have any big events coming up. I had finished a relationship. I was kind of looking for something, I think, to have a bit of a goal and a mini project. I think prior to starting the transformation, for about 2 or 3 years, I'd started really getting into YouTube and looking at tons of people like you, for example, doing the shows and stuff. And the initial idea in my head, I never ever was going to go on stage. I thought, right, okay, I want to look like I could go on stage. That was the first kind of goal. Because I've been to a few PTs before, and I don't know whether it's my age, I'm not sure. I think they thought there was only so far they could push me. And I knew inside how determined I was and how focused I could be when I put my mind to something. And no one really got that. And I thought, I want to prove everyone wrong that there's no limit to age when you do this kind of thing. I'm determined I will look like that no matter what it takes. And I guess it might have been a little bit harder, but that was certainly where I was in my head. So I think by the time I walked into the gym that day, I saw somebody that I ended up training with that I thought was a stage competitor. And it went from there, really. I approached him, and he said, okay, let's have a chat about it. And that was it. I was kind of at that point where I thought, right, this is it. If I don't do it now, I'll never do it. So yeah, I was pretty determined at that point to go for it.
And how that transformation that we shared, what was the time frame for that? Because that's
4 months.
4
months.
So
yeah.
That's for me is the biggest thing for anyone watching, is that the change you can make if you want to. And what was the biggest change for you? Or did you just overhaul your whole life? Or was there anything in particular you were like, that was the big sort of deciding factor that managed to your physique?
I think there was nothing surprising about my training other than I guess I'd never pushed myself quite so hard as that. And that's something I've learned over the last sort of 3 years, like if you're going to do 12 reps or something, when trainers used to say, if you can comfortably get to 12, then up the weight. But I didn't realise what that meant, really, if you're struggling at 10, get another 2, so it's that little extra 25%, I think, of training that I wasn't doing. The biggest thing though was the diet, 100%. And it was sticking to it every day. And as I said, at that point, it was like, again, tell me what to do. No matter how hard it is, I will do it. I was really ready. I was really focused. So I think the biggest thing I'd say, first of all, 21, and to myself really, was after that 4 months, it was the consistency of doing it.
Yeah, that's my big one, mate. The consistency.
Yeah.
And I think for you touched on it earlier, having that purpose. As soon as you had that, you got nothing in your life going on. So and we've been saying this all through lockdown. People need some sort of purpose, something, whatever it may be, to run a marathon, to improve the flexibility, to increase your strength, whatever it may be. And just or build your business, having that purpose is just almost make you tunnel visioned and laser focused. And
very much so. And I think it was the other thing of making it a habit, making it a habit to go, making it a habit to prep my food, making it a habit, all those things that I'd kind of half-assed done before, really. I'd never really done it. And I was doing a really busy full-time job. I didn't always feel like it. So I worked for the NHS in mental health. So more recently, I'm in a corporate job. So even though it's primarily at a desk, it's 10-hour days, so I still had to fit that in.
So after work. All the excuses everyone has. I'm too old. I've got no time, and you've just gone, nah, not good enough, not good enough, not good enough.
Yeah. It was that, and I'm not going to lie. There were times in those first 4 months when I did that, because it was quite an extreme transformation. So the other thing, what people didn't realise either, was I was on quite low calories because I had quite a lot to get off, and also I had to do a lot of time doing cardio. So it was that the cardio was kind of more low intensity state cardio, because obviously I wouldn't have the energy to go running 10 miles or whatever. So, but that took a lot of time on top of my day. So I would get in my car about 5. It would take me about an hour to get there. I'd do an hour and a half training, and I'd walk. I had to get to like 17,000 steps every day, 7 days a week at one point. So that takes a long time. I used to go out on my lunch break and walk everywhere I could to get my credits up for when I got to the gym. But usually it still meant an hour walking on the treadmill on top of my workout and my day at work.
So was this was comp prep as well then? That transformation included your comp prep?
No, it didn't. What we decided to do very quickly into it was have an end goal. So the end goal was to do a professional photo shoot. So that was the goal, but we treated it like a stage prep.
Okay, so, that makes sense.
Yeah, so I did a peak week and everything. But by the time I got to the photo shoot, I'd done what you would do for stage.
Okay, so that's I mean, perfect, because this is what I wanted to ask you about was, you know, everyone listening to this, just from listening to what you're saying, they know they need to create a habit, they need an end goal, they need to find time, not make excuses, look at their nutrition. But then to take it to that photo shoot and that comp prep level, this is where it is an absolute head fuck. And like where you start having to find time that you didn't know existed. So, I mean, just give me a summary then of that training regime. It was like how many days a week?
So it was 5 days a week. Yeah, 5 days a week, probably about an hour and a half each session of just weights. I worked with the trainer 2 or 3 times a week. And then I did all my cardio by myself every day for 4 months, 7 days a week, without a day off. I didn't drink that whole time. I think I drank once halfway through. I went on a night out, but he made me go in early and I had to do tons of HIIT to make the credits for going out that night. And even then, when I went on my big night out, I still swapped everything I would normally do. So I had vodka and soda. And I didn't get the food on the way home. So it was a lot of sacrifice. I just didn't say yes to anything. I didn't have a life for 4 months, really.
Do you regret that, not having the life? Because that's the hardest part of the whole comp prep for me. The hardest part is having to say no and having to explain yourself to people why you're saying no.
Yeah, I think that was harder, having to explain myself. In my head, I was very, so determined and driven at that point, because I tried everything and never looked the way I wanted to look. So I had exhausted every avenue. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, I can say no. And also remember, I think the first time I did it, the transformation, I was still quite fresh. You know, I hadn't got to that awful last 2 weeks that you get on a stage prep. It was my first time. Everything was the first time. And I remember, the first time someone said to me, "Oh my God, what's happened to you?" Because I looked different. And the first time I bought a pair of skinny jeans, and the first time I shaved all my body hair to show the definition. The first time I could do 10 pull-ups, where I used to just hang there, before. There were lots of.
What was the reception like, though? What was people's reception with you for your first ever shoot or show? Were people supportive of you, or are they kind of like, "Why are you doing that? Like, enough's enough. Stop doing that."
Yeah, it's a funny one. I think initially, when you start to look like you've lost weight, everything's very positive. And "Oh yeah, you're doing really well. What are you doing it for?" And you explain, and they're all very interested in it. I'm talking about family, friends, and work, probably.
Yeah.
And then it turns a corner. The gym people kind of picked up very quickly what I was doing, because all of a sudden I looked quite extremely different. And the reception at the gym was really great. And bearing in mind, when I first went, the other thing people don't really know about me is that I've suffered with anxiety and depression all my life. So it took quite a lot of courage to do it. And I didn't have very much confidence about the way I looked. And I started my Instagram account sort of halfway through. So it was everything was very new to me. But then when it started to go quite what I would call extreme, which I was absolutely over the moon with, because I got past where I'd ever got before, people turn a little bit, it's not necessarily as bad as jealousy, but they start to say things like, "Are you sure you just can't have a biscuit?"
I don't think jealousy. Do you know what it is? I think it's guilt on their behalf, because you know what it's like when you eat something like chocolate, you want someone else to eat it with you, so you don't feel guilty.
Yeah.
That's what I don't know. That's what I kind of feel. Or I don't know. I don't think there's anything malicious, but
no, I don't. I didn't think it was malicious. It was just, it came. The more hungry you become towards the end, the more I started to get a little bit tired. but I was still very motivated because I had that day. I knew I had to stand in front of the camera, and that was the biggest deterrent from going off course, you know, with it. But the more that comes in your head at the end, when your hormones are a little bit screwed and you are starving, you know, so it becomes harder and harder, and you get more and more a little bit grumpy with those comments.
Yeah, how do you deal with them?
You're like, I don't want the biscuit, leave me alone.
Yeah, how do you deal with it? Because I'm proper like that with my responses, you know.
Yeah, I again, that first one, because it was the first time I'd done it, I was very no, I'm not having it, I've got a photo shoot booked, and I was still quite upbeat. When later on we talk about the stage prep, I wasn't quite so nice then. You know, there are quite a few times where I'm like, just please stop asking me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm doing. You know, it is hard. Yeah, it's really hard.
You get like a sort of association attached to you. Though I find my first and second kind of shows or shoots, people are like, "Oh, this cake's for you. I'm just going to leave your piece of cake here for you. Oh,
yeah,
you can have that in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, this one's for you. I'll have a bit. And then after like a few shows, it turns to the exact opposite, where people will go, "Oh, I've got cake. You can't have it because you're competing." And
yeah, I've had that, especially the last one. Yeah,
it turns around. It's really weird because then you start going, no, I can have that. I'm allowed that today. And they're like, no, you can't. So
yeah,
it's like a full circle.
It really is. And like you said, like, it was never malicious. I think later on, when they saw the photos, you know, because what I've learned as well about the whole process is that you get a lot of, sometimes you don't look like that in real life, you Photoshop your pictures, you do this, you do that. But again, you've got to understand that if you take anyone, shave their body hair off, put a tan on them, stand them up the right lighting, you look totally different. You know, you're creating an illusion, even though it's you, you know. So when they saw the photos and that before and after, because they don't see, they see you change over time. But when you do that with those pictures at the end, then you just see the work. And even I was quite emotional when I saw the pictures. When they came through, I just couldn't believe it was me.
Which one? It was. Which look do you prefer? Or is it somewhere between the two? And which one do your family and friends prefer? Between, let's say, you at your biggest and you at your leanest, at what point do people go, that's where I like you? Because my mum always tells me where she prefers how I look. She doesn't hold back.
Yeah, they definitely don't like the stage ready look, you know, because what you don't see in Instagram pictures, even on video, I don't think, is how thin you actually are when you meet someone up close. Because your face just caves in, doesn't it?
Well, I get the opposite. So my mum said to me the other day, "Oh, I much prefer it when you're thinner." What she means is she likes it when I'm like a week out from a show.
Yeah.
She likes how I look then, and I'm like, I can't stay like that.
No, I think the first, because I lost so much weight, I think the first time, people that were like, should I be worried? You look really thin, and I loved it because I'd never looked like it. I couldn't believe it. You know, I just had abs. That was the key thing. That's the same thing I think most guys have a lot of the time is if you get Men's Health or Men's Fitness and all that, you know, and you go on holiday, you want a six pack, you know, it's just that thing. I always did. I never had one ever. So it was quite ironic that I'm known for that now.
Yeah, that's all we know you for. And what I want to know, this is a big one now, especially because you deal with mental health. Were you happier? Are you happier now or then? And has it changed has it changed your life or your mentality looking different? Because, you know, people are like, it's this whole thing now about loving the body you're in, but do you find you're different now, or the way people perceive you and talk to you is different now?
I think personally for myself, I've grown in confidence massively, because it was such a sense of achievement, the whole thing. And I finally looked the way I wanted to look. And although, like you said, you know, that it's up and down because you can't stay that lean all the time, even if you're trying to. It's made me believe a lot. I was always quite believed in myself in terms of work and things, but I think it's given me a lot more confidence in the sense that anything's possible. Because when I did decided to go on stage and do that, I mean, all the things that have come my way since, you know, like the Instagram thing was a whole new world to me. I'm getting asked to do photo shoots rather than paying for them, and sometimes get paid, and all these companies are offering me free products, and you know, it's not obviously enough to give up my job, but bearing in mind my age and everything, it's quite still quite astounding to me that people are that interested.
It's
you know,
motivational.
so
it's inspiring. Very inspiring. How did you? What advice have you got then for people that are going through the process you went through to deal with all these weird remarks you get and these people who try and hold you back? What advice have you got for them? Because I think that's one of the reasons a lot of people fail.
I think the first thing is, what you've got to do is realize that, you know, you have got to make quite a lot of sacrifice if you're really going to do it. And the timing's got to be right. I think the timing's got to be right in your life. You can't go into it half-assed because you're going to get disappointed. You won't be able to stick to it because it takes every ounce of willpower. So I first of all, I just make sure that you've got a period of time coming up. And when I did mine, it was August. The summer was over. It was that change of season. Standing on a treadmill on a crappy night in the middle of winter was probably better than being tempted to go and sit in the garden and have a beer. You know, so it was quite a good time to do it. And I finished it on the 6th of December, I think. So then I had Christmas to look forward to afterwards. So I think the timing's pretty key. And don't just go into it and think, have an end day and something at the end of it to keep you on track. Because again, you know, once I booked that shoot, I paid the deposit and I knew I was going to do it. And every time someone would say something to me or whatever, I would think, I've got to go in front of that camera. No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to eat it, and I'm not going to drink it, and I'm going to say no to that. So yeah, I think definitely have either a stage or a photo shoot or something at the end of it, and book it pretty quick when you start, so you've got that end goal. And I think that's the best advice I would give. And the timing is key, I think, as well. The timing is you've got to be quite selfish.
Yeah, that's the thing. You do have to give up quite a lot, and which is why it's key to have people supporting you. Did you tell many people that you were doing this? Because I find if you tell people about your goal and what you're training towards, that's another driver, because you're accountable. Because people are waiting for you to mess up. They're waiting for you to follow, and you're just like, nah, I'm following this through.
It's funny, actually, because not only were people seeing it, I couldn't stop talking about it because I was so excited that I was doing it. And I was so excited that when I was changing so quickly, and I had to be really careful I didn't come across as being cocky about it, because I wasn't. But it was just, so too many people, you know, I told too many people not to do it. The same with the stage. I put so much pressure on myself when I did my first stage, because everyone in the gym knew, everyone knew I was doing it, and it was a lot of pressure. And I felt like I've got to win, and I'm not quite in that mindset anymore, but I was the first time, absolutely.
Was there any part of prep that you just weren't expecting? Any sort of strange or weird parts, or anything that you just completely overlooked coming into the prep? Because
I think that when I did the transformation, I did the photo shoot, saw the photos, and then the guy I was training with said, now you've got to do it. You know, you've got to go on stage now. And I think probably towards the end, that decision was made that I was actually going to go on there. But I was terrified of doing that, because knowing if people that know me really well before, you know, me going on stage in a pair of skimpy pants and doing that was like out of the question. You know, something I just wouldn't do. So once that decision was made, what I wasn't prepared for is that was December, done the transformation, tick. and the first show was April, so I had to start the prep in February, I think it was, beginning of February. So I only had 4 weeks, and I was doing it all again. And whilst I didn't have to get tons of weight off, mentally by that point, that was almost 6 months of dieting. So towards the end of that one, I wasn't expecting the extra work that went into it. So the posing was a massive one. You know, I'd never done that before. I didn't know how to do it, and that's when I met you.
Yeah, it's a hard part. That.
and the amount of time added to the cardio, the food prep, the going to the gym, and during that time, you're doing everything else. You're thinking, what am I going to wear? Where do I get them from? I've never bought a pair of stage trunks. What about the tan? And what hotel should we stay in? What's near the venue? And all these things you've never done come in again.
Yeah, I overthought every single part of that.
Me too.
Of that first show. And you look back at what you overthought, it's just absolute madness, really. But it played my head a lot more that time. When they talk about stage prep brain, I definitely got it that time. Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I've never lost tons of weight, but when I even lose a few kilos, when I've been at my biggest, and I find it with clients, it's so much easier, really, mentally, that first part where you're seeing the scales dropping nicely, a kilo a week, half a kilo. But trying really for a stage, that lasts, like, even let's say 8 weeks, you're chipping away at something that doesn't want to be chipped away at. The body does not want to go as low.
Yeah. It doesn't want to, it's not normal, is it? So it doesn't want to do it. And I remember that panic of, I think, I drove my coach mad at the time, but because I was going slightly mad, I think. Because you're living, it's a weird sensation. You're kind of a bit of an out of body experience at times, and it was things like, I knew I was in good shape, but you get very, very picky. Like body dysmorphia. I don't know if it's this, I wouldn't say I've got that, but I was certainly, when will my legs come in? My legs are all, I've learned, everyone's different. So I can lose weight off my back like that. My abs pop like that. My face will go quite quick, but my legs come in right at the end. And, and other people have other bits that come in at the end. But that was like, when though? When are they going to come in?
You think there's an answer. This is it. People message me and say, what should I do for my peak week? What percentage should I be on stage? I don't fucking know, because everyone is so different. But when you're new to it, you really think that it's like one size fits all, isn't it? It's like, when legs come through, it's like, I don't know. And people think you don't know.
I don't look like him yet. Yeah, I don't look like him yet. And so there was a lot of panic. And I think I was panicked, really, because I had to stand up there.
It is terrifying. But do you regret it, or was it a good move?
No, it's changed my life. It's changed my life completely. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm always quite wary of, I don't want to be that person that says this to people, but I think you've got to be quite wired for it. You've got to be.
It's tough.
You've got to be quite wired for it. But
I don't want that
to sound like, well, you could do it, I did, because that's not what I'm saying.
It's a strange one, because I don't know if I'll ever compete again, because I basically retired last year, and part of me still thinks, maybe I'll do another one, but I don't know if my brain is wired that way now, because it's the real part of getting on stage for me was always that challenge to prove something to yourself. I've done it so many times now.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's not, you're not proving anything. If I was to go and run a marathon now, I think I would get so into that, or want to do a triathlon, because it's a challenge that I'm testing myself. Getting on stage is just same again, rinse and repeat. Back to selfish me.
No, and I get that as well. I think, you sort of tick boxes, don't you? With if you're quite a motivated person, you like a challenge. Which before all of this, I was like that with work. I've always thrown myself into work, and I've been really successful at lots of things. But I could never nail the weight thing, So it's changed my life. And tell you why. A lot of positive things have happened from it. Like obviously the way I feel about myself, the way I look younger than I did before. And I've met a lot of brilliant people, and I think the thing that I love most, which I still find quite touching, really, I get a lot of messages from young guys that see me in the gym, or I talk to on Instagram or whatever, that want to do a workout with me and things like that. And I love doing that because I always learn something from them. I mean, I'm still quite new, to it. But I feel like I've got a big circle of people, and then out of it, I've made some really good friends.
Yeah, people
really, really, really good friends. And you meet your people that are wired like you are, to a degree.
It's hard to know, isn't it, though, whether you want friends. I always think this: do you want friends and relationships that are wired the same or different? I feel you do need that balance of both, but it's nice for those people that, like, I've got a very good mate who's competing or two mates who are competing this year. So it's nice to have the people that are competing, and I have people I work with that a lot of them have competed and they're like never again. So and then people I've made that have nothing to do with it. So
I've got friends like that because obviously being older, I've got friends from 20 years ago that I've still got. So they come and support me at the shows and stuff, which is great, and everything. And they're just really they don't ask anything. They know what I'm like, so they don't ever discourage me or anything like that. So I've got those people, but I guess I always feel like, even when the gyms are open, hopefully soon, there's always someone, if I want to, I can call up and say, should we go and do a workout?
Yeah, it's nice when it's like that.
Yeah, and that's quite good. But yeah, it has totally changed. I don't regret any of it. A woman said to me, that's a bikini girl, she said, doing stage is like all prep. It's like having a baby. You forget how bad it was until you do it again.
Mate,
and I'm like, you do forget how bad it is, because I'm going into another prep now, aren't I? So
it starts so fun though. It starts so fun. Like everyone's like, yeah, starting my prep, and then it goes downhill. But yeah, once lockdown is over, I'll have to head down your way. Get a session in. But you reminded me, mate, talking about people training. I find it's like the old London bus, London buses. I text people and say, oh, do you want to train? No one can ever train the same time as me or the same body part. And then suddenly you'll get like 5 people going, yeah, I can train tomorrow. And you're like, oh, shit. Like, you can start choosing who you want to train with. Like,
I never like letting people down either. So, sometimes...
Have you ever gone from one gym to another then to keep people happy, like one session to another?
A little bit like that. I've actually done I've done like legs twice, for example. Like Wednesday, I've killed myself, and I've done legs again the next day. When really it should have been something else. And I think, oh, they really want to do legs. I'll do legs.
I've done that. And I think it's fine. 2 sessions, it'll be fine. And then 2 days later, I'm a vegetable. Like,
it's like that Vicar of Dibley thing where she has to eat all the Christmas dinners.
Christmas dinners. That's exactly it. Yeah. I nearly did that this Christmas. If lockdown wasn't happening, I was having an English Christmas dinner at mine and an Italian one, and that was it. I was going to be written off. So how on earth have you managed to keep the weight and the body fat off? That is the big question.
Well, I think the first stage and that transformation was quite easy because I'd had a month and I had to go to stage prep. So obviously that kept it all off. And then after that first stage show, that was interesting afterwards. Because that was the first time in the whole process, didn't have a proper plan. I didn't have anything else booked. I was relieved, but I thought, never thought about this. Now what's going to happen to me? Am I going to be that blown up again person that I was almost a year ago. So I really struggled. And what the feedback was from the show, so I got my pro card on the first go, which was incredible. And I won my category, so I was, so happy. But by then I thought, now what happens when I eat normally?
Yeah, that's the hard part.
And I did the show with somebody else, and we'd already planned for weeks. And I don't know if you do this, but you think the first thing I'm going to have is this, and then I'm going to eat that, and I can get away with it for 3 days. Nothing's going to happen to me. I can get as much in as possible. And it was almost like when you do diets in the past, where I reward myself on Saturday and undo all the stuff I've done all week. And go for it. So I was kind of a little bit mentally like, and the other thing was, because I was older, I've never had a six-pack ever, and it was summer after the show in April, and I thought, there's no way I'm losing this six-pack. This is the first summer I'm going to go on holiday and have a six-pack in my whole life, so I can't get fat, But the downside of that was I started to fear food a little bit.
Yeah.
And I felt like every time I ate something normal, really, not from my stage prep diet, that I had to go and do extra cardio, and I had to go and do this, had to go and do that. And that was a real head fuck after. But what happened was, the plan was I was going to do the World Championships at the end of the year as my pro debut. And what I knew I had to do was put on weight, because I had to put on muscle. Otherwise, I was going to look the same. But I couldn't quite commit to it. And that was the first time I couldn't quite go with it like I had all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Seeing weight come off is far more positive than seeing it go on. And of course, the flip side of what we've talked about, people start saying that thing you don't want to hear. Oh, you look well.
Oh, don't. Well, you know what you need to watch? You need to watch all the old Rich Piana videos, Bigger by the Day. I don't know if you've seen them.
No.
He's like eating he just says if you're not putting weight on, just eat more. And he's there eating pizzas and tubs of ice cream. And, and you're like, I'm not eating enough. Suddenly it just changes your whole perspective. But
wow. Yeah.
That you look well or you look big comment, you're like, You
don't look as lean as you did when you did the stage, but you look better. That's it, that kind of comment.
Oh, I give up then. I just say I'm bulking and just eat crap all day. That's a problem.
Yeah. And I did obviously put on weight, but what I realised, this is a lesson to anyone else that does it, and you'll know this as a PT, and bearing in mind I'm not one, is that when you work that hard and you build muscle, because even though I'd lost weight, I'd still built muscle whatever that time, muscle burns fat, so even though I was going to put on weight, and even though I wasn't going to look like I could step on stage tomorrow, I didn't understand that I wouldn't be that person in that photo. I might not look like on stage, but I wouldn't be that person in that photo, because unless I really lost it and everything in sight. So yeah, and I realised I've got a very fast metabolism. And over the summer, I went to the gym 5 times a week. I didn't do 17,000 steps anymore, but I did my cardio. I went on holiday. I had cocktails, I drank. But I learned very fast how to balance. Like I've eaten that. I won't have that later.
Yeah.
Or so not all the time. Of course, I've binged, and of course, I'm human. After 6 months of that, I was ready for a bit of a good time. But afterward, I just kept my six-pack, and it stayed with me ever since. But I would say I'm fairly disciplined still, but I don't feel like, you've done my meal plan, and it's not like I'm starving, is it?
No, you're eating. Well, I was going to say you're eating more than me, but I keep slipping up and having these massive these massive, just eating everything in sight moments. But yeah, I think that's the best way to do it. Like that kind of, if you're eating a bit more here, just eat a bit less there. You're not so stressed then.
I think also what I would say though, Tim, it's unfair for anyone listening or watching that I absolutely did go to town when I got back from the show. And I remember being paralysed in Sainsbury's or somewhere. And it was like, do I have the apple pie or the bakewell tart? Both. I have I'll have the cheesecake as well.
I used to pack 12 Krispy Kremes, easy.
Yeah.
I remember being sick for ages because I'd eaten so much that I think literally food had almost backed up, mate. It was.
Well, I tell you what I did. The night after the show, because our hotel wasn't near the venue, we didn't realise that, but it wasn't. I ate quite a lot of McDonald's, but not. I had a photo shoot the next day, so.
Oh, you're not like me then. I never learned my lesson. Every time I go to a photo shoot, I turn up so distended.
Oh God! And it was like, so I still couldn't go for it, but when I got home, I did, and I had a running buffet that whole day, an Indian takeaway in the evening. I was sick, made myself ill. Yeah.
That's the best. Do you know what? That's the best way to do it. Not the being sick bit, but anyone who competes, I always say, don't on the night of the show just have a nice meal. Like you're probably going to be exhausted. Some shows go until 2 a.m. Just don't plan it. Have whatever you fancy. You know, you might have a cookie, you might have a burger, might have a Coke, whatever it may be. The next day, then that's when you want to go and have your big cheat meal because the night of the show, you normally feel nothing works. Your stomach doesn't work, your insides don't work, you got a headache, you're dehydrated. So the best meal I've ever had after a show, and I'm not even joking, was a Nando's, and I had a chicken salad. And that was because it's the only thing they had left. And
oh wow,
I had it, and it was beautiful. Every other show I've done, I've always gone and got burgers, chips, and they've just tasted like cardboard or just so disappointing.
And you dream of it. And the other thing I've learned through, because I still now and again, of course I do, you have a binge, not all the time, but you have those days. And that's the thing, everyone falls off the wagon. It's what you do the next day, isn't it? As long as it's not a 3-day binge, but it's never as good as you think it's going to be, and it's a very hard lesson to get in your head because I still do it, but every time you do it, you feel. Ugh.
The difference is now, this is what I realised. I still binge. I've done a podcast on binging, and I'm fully aware of when I do it, but I'm still able to maintain the level of health and physique I'm in because yes, you might binge and put on 3 kilos. But then 4 or 5 days later of good eating, and like you said, you've undone that. So it's not healthy. It's not a healthy relationship with food. It is the ability that you can go out and have a night out and accidentally eat a whole pizza, and it's not going to be the end of the world. It's accepting that and trying to stop at the one pizza rather than going, well, I've had a pizza, I might as well now eat everything in the cupboard. Yeah. That's where the skill and the mindset kind of comes in.
When I did the first show, this is quite funny. It's talking about stage prep brain and a binge. So I stuck to everything throughout apart from once. And it was about 2 weeks before. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks. So at that stage, everything matters, doesn't it? And why I bought them, I do not know, because they shouldn't have been in the house. And that's my other tip. Just don't have it in the house.
Oh, yes, that's the best one.
Don't have it in the house because it will play with your mind.
Yes.
So I had my last meal and I used to have it quite late. So I don't believe in all this, don't eat after 9 because you'll be fat in the morning. No, as long as it's on your plan, eat it whenever you want to eat it, And for me, I'm a late night snacker.
Oh, God, yes.
So my last meal, I always push back to about 10 and then I go to bed and go to sleep, especially in stage prep. So I'd done that. So everything was tickety-boo. I was 3 weeks out. Everything was going to plan. when I did my shop, I thought I'd get those for when I've done the show.
Oh,
And it was a box. It was a box of raisin wheats. It's not even that bad, but they were on top of my fridge. And all night, I don't know why this night, I was feeling a bit low in mood, and there's nothing much going on. I was on my own, and I thought, go to bed and watch something, go to sleep. And I kept going out to the kitchen and looking at the box, and I thought, let's just taste them and see what they're like.
Yeah, this is exactly it, mate.
Yeah. So I opened the box, and I thought, they're quite nice. But it was like having the most amazing thing in the world, because you've had such quite plain food up until that point. So I thought a little bowl won't hurt, right?
Yeah.
So I had a little bowl, and then I don't remember this, but the next thing I had an empty box.
Yeah, I did it with granola. Yeah, I do it all the time. I even did it last night, mate. Last night I'd bought that Ben & Jerry's Netflix and chilled, the peanut butter ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm putting that in the freezer when I hit this particular weight. In a couple of weeks, when I hit that, I'll have that.
Yeah.
I thought, let me just try it and see what it tastes like. Yeah. Let's just put it this way. The tub of ice cream, the big bag of crisps, the big chocolate bar, the peanut butter, the toast. You know, you're like, how was that gone so horribly wrong just from trying it? And I relate to what you said about, it's in the house. I'm sitting there and I know something's like in the cupboard over there, and I'm like that the whole time.
Yeah.
I know where everything is in the house. So I'm like, I know there's chocolate there and it's got my name on it. If it's my mum's, won't touch it. Fine, it's not mine.
Yeah.
So if my girlfriend or my mum or dad buys something in the house sweet related, I don't touch it. But if someone goes, like I said earlier with a cake, there's your piece of cake there for you in the corner. You're like, that's mine. No one else is having that. That's mine.
It's really, I even remember putting them in the trolley, thinking this is a bad idea, you know. And,
but you'll be strong enough, willpower.
Yeah. But I think that's another lesson, isn't it? I think a lot of people, the reason why diets fail, I mean, not talking about stage prep, but creating a healthy relationship with food and exercise, I still won the show. I still got my pro card. I did it once. And actually, I looked pretty vascular the next day from all the carbs. But I felt like I'd let, my trainer down, and I remember making that really sheepish phone call.
Yeah, I did one of them.
But I ended up just doing an extra bit on the Stairmaster that day, or whatever. I can't remember now. But it happens. I think everyone does it. I think, But yeah, that's a top tip. Just don't have it in the house.
It's hard to explain the level you go to. Yeah, that level of hunger and that place that people don't understand.
It's awful. No, it's hard, that last bit. You want everything, and like I said, when I went into that supermarket that day, it was like, I don't even know what I want, because I want it all.
So the final bit then, serious bit was, we were going to touch on the kind of coaching aspect very briefly, weren't we? Just kind of how you sort of choose the right coach, I suppose, to help you through these moments. So I don't know kind of what your tips and advice are for people as to how they can... I mean, I guess, I sort of blundered my way through it to begin with. But if you're going to do it, I think the first big tip really is I would go with someone that's done it, that has got people through it before, and ideally have experienced it themselves, because I think you can't understand what that last bit is like otherwise. And it's not like being a PT, I don't think. I think they're very different, being a stage coach and a PT, because whilst you do tap into a little bit of mental health being a PT, because people like myself had created bad habits and an unhealthy relationship with food. I was very much, and still am, an emotional eater, actually. I can not eat or eat if I'm sad or happy or whatever.
But I think you really need someone that is quite got quite a lot of empathy, and appreciate that doing stage and having a coach, it's very much 50 physical, 50 mental.
I think big difference.
Yeah.
With most clients when you're PTing, it literally is move more, eat less. That's pretty much it. You know, general population, you need to start making a bit more decisions. Probably shouldn't have had that 8th chocolate bar last night. You know, maybe you shouldn't have a curry 3 times a week. You know, maybe you should start training. But comp prep is, like you said, it's just a different level, because most people would adhere to the plan.
Yeah.
At what point do they break, I suppose?
Yeah, and I'm not saying, I guess, you know, of course there are people that are brilliant coach PTs and stuff that can get you through stage. I'm not saying they couldn't, but you get to a point where you become quite different towards the end, where you need someone that can answer those questions that someone just wouldn't know, you know, about peak week and what might happen. What happens, you know, you've got a lot of questions all the time, you know, especially on your first one, you know, like what happens, how do I get the tan, and
don't, Kev, mate,
what do you do before you go on stage, and you know, what happens if I want a wee, and you know, all these silly things.
I'm going to tell you now,
quite big things.
They are you I mean, people don't know this, but you're obviously one of my current clients, and you and my other comp prep clients are probably the hardest clients I have to work with, because everything has to be done to the detail. Whereas, you know, I have other clients. I've got a guy now who's probably he's losing like a kilo and a half a week, like consistently. Every check-in, yep, done everything, fine, feel great, let's go. And I'm like, what the hell? And he's just dropping weight consistently, changing his body. But when it goes to that level of comp prep, everything, you know, every set, every rep has got to be done meticulously versus just, let's just get you moving.
And my answer to a lot of the queries now, much later on with a bit more experience, I still get it now. Why bother? You know, aren't you getting a bit old to do this? You know, all of that kind of stuff. And I've just learned to say now, because I want to. You know,
it's a hobby. It's no different to any other hobby when you look at it like that.
Yeah.
People do weird hobbies. People go fishing for 8 hours and sit out in the pissing cold. People go bird watching and sit out in the rain. And there's plenty of things that I think of and go, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think you're right though. You develop a bit of OCD really, because it's such fine tuning. When you get lean, you lean. But like you said, you don't, and I guess I've learned as well to kind of be a little bit more laid back, in the sense that everyone's body's different, and you don't know. There's not, like you said, there's not a set plan for peak week. I worked with another coach on my second one, you know, and it was the same thing. We had to it was trial and error a little bit, how hour by hour towards the end.
Yeah, this is the thing. Even with general normal, let's call them normal clients or normal people. I spoke to a lady the other day who basically wanted me to say, well, how long is it going to take? And can you help me? And I was like, well, yes, I can help you, but I don't have the answers right now. And she's like, oh, but I was kind of hoping you could tell me I need to do this, eat this, and this will happen. I'm like, I mean, I can give you my best advice, but I can't predict what that's going to yield in a week. It might be perfect and we've completely hit the nail on the head, or you may have no change. And then it's like, right, we've established that what we've done is not going to be enough.
Do you get a lot of questions about, because you've done so many shows and, you know, you've won so many things, do you get a lot of guys that just say, can you just give me your meal plan? And they think they look like you.
I used to. It's all died down now. That was back in the day when social media was mad. You know, I don't know if you remember, every fitness page would repost your photos and everyone questioning you for your diets. It's all going to be quiet now. I don't know whether there's a lot of more free advice online or a lot more of these kind
There's
of
so
podcasts.
many people doing it now, aren't there? I guess,
you used to get quite a lot of what's your training plan, what's your diet plan, and depending on what mood I was in, whether I wanted to be annoying or not, depending on the answer. Because, my calories vary from sort of 1,500 to 5,000. So, I mean, you asked me at what point of that journey.
Yeah, because I get that quite a lot. I get, what, can you just give me what you eat? And I always feel bad because I would happily give it, but don't expect the same results because
they're not going to stick to it.
It's a step too far for some people. But I always hate saying that because I obviously was there, but I suppose I went in with that. I've got 4 months and off I went. And I think anyone can if they really want to. Of course I do. And that's my point about being older and everything. That's my whole ethos about everything I do on Instagram is about, most of it is just trying to inspire people to get started.
Yeah. That's it. Anyway. That's the main thing. My ethos recently has been about just making those small changes, which is why I released my 28-day kickstart for people that aren't competing, that are sitting on the sofa, not knowing what to do. And it's just making those changes so we can get someone to your diet, but it ain't going to be the same as your diet because no one's got the same lifestyle as you, really. So we need to work out, if you get up and you really enjoy, I don't know, cereal for breakfast, then we can keep that in your diet. We can change something else later in the day. And, eventually we might swap the cereal and then it's going to start to look more like your current diet is, but we can do it gradually. So it's sustainable.
Yeah, definitely. It's I think, and that's it. They look at it and they're like, oh, I couldn't eat that first thing in the morning, and that's the thing, isn't it? You shouldn't. It's the other thing I learned as well. Obviously, it's about calories in, calories out, and all of that kind of stuff. And but yeah, I mean, I don't regret any of it. I mean, it's just changed my view on everything, the way I eat everything, really.
Changed your whole entire life, mate. That is awesome. I forgot to send you the last bit that I used to do on all my podcasts, but I stopped doing it because I had a couple of repeat guests on, and I did a whole episode on everything that pisses us off. But I don't know if I forgot to message you, but we can do it. And if you can think of something brilliant. But I was doing the in the bin section, things that you just cannot stand, that you want to just get rid of. Is there anything that you think that is the most annoying thing in the world right now that you want to throw into the Gym and Tonic bin?
Like, what, around training? Or?
Anything, mate, anything. Could be Boris Johnson, don't care, anyone, in anything, anyone, any... Yeah, I didn't give you any prep time for this, so that's my fault.
Oh, well, I'm getting a little bit bored of these. And I know everyone's trying to keep themselves entertained, but I've stopped sending them on now, so I think people are just going to punch me. But when you get like your best bicep picture, and you think, oh, fucking hell, I've got to find 5 people that won't be offended if I forward this on, and I've got to try and trawl through and find a photo of my bicep.
I keep getting them. I never forget the first one I got like 3 years ago. It was like your back picture, and now first lockdown, every single photo in the world. Was it your last gym photo?
Do you know what? I realised how other people are feeling, because I got one and I did it not that long ago, and half of them didn't do it.
I just reposted. I gave up,
and
mate.
Someone just wrote to me and put, ha, I get loads of these. And I thought, yeah, you're done with it. Because they started up about a year ago, and it was all everyone wanted to do it. But at the moment, no one's got the inclination at all. Everyone's pissed off and depressed. They just don't want to do it.
What was the other one? wasn't there like challenges? It was like press ups and stuff. I can't think in the first lockdown.
Oh yeah, the last lockdown that started a bit, didn't it?
20 press up challenge and
yeah, and it's like, oh, I've got to pull something out of the bag again, you know.
Yeah, it started with that. That goes all the way back to that. It was in with that ice bucket challenge like 6 years ago. It's like
yes,
that
it
again.
started with that. Yeah, I guess those.
The best fight.
My heart sort of sinks a little bit. Like, oh no, I've got to regurgitate one of my old photos that everyone's seen a million times. You think, oh, here he goes again.
I'm too busy, mate, for them. I always say. I'm going to start it today. I'm going to start messaging everyone going, thanks for the nomination. I'm just going to put thanks for the nomination, like make up a name. I nominate Kev for your best forehead photo. Like,
yeah, you've got to think of something as well that's really not like your best stage picture or anything, but something really, you know, like
your best spring photo.
Your best raised eyebrow picture.
Mate, that is brilliant. That's the best one we've had for ages, mate. We've had socks and sandals, but that's a good one.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I haven't put one in for ages, but based on what we said earlier, those fuckers that say to you, you can't eat that. And I don't know if I put this in before, but I used to go to buffets all the time, and I would pick up like a sausage roll. Someone would always go, you can't eat that. Because what they're implying is, well, you go to the gym and you're healthy. You can't eat that.
Yeah. I've had people, I can't name names, but part of my diet, what I'm allowed to have actually at times, were like Cocoa Pops is one.
Mm-hmm.
And you're working your ass off. You're almost at the end of your stage prep. You stupidly put it up on your story, and someone will write to you and go, "Are you allowed that much sugar? Isn't that unhealthy?" And you're like, "You'll just eat what you can get at the moment."
Mate, don't. I get that with, you remember the energy drink, like Reigns and Monsters? Every time I posted it, the same guy, and I'm sure he's watching this because I get on with the guy. He always goes, "Oh, they're bad for you. I used to work for them." And every time I posted it, and it got to a point when I started messaging back going, "Oh, why have you told me that sooner?" Like, it was every post. I think he said, "Oh, they're really bad for you. They raise your blood pressure." I went, "Oh, good. I'll have a few more then. I've got low blood pressure."
Yeah, you do, and also like with those things like the Cocoa Pops and stuff, you also feel like, oh no, someone's going to start eating tons of them and think that's how you get shredded and stuff, don't you?
Yeah, that's what you do. You eat peanut butter, dark chocolate, avocado, Cocoa Pops, cream of rice, and you get shredded. Right, this is the final part, and again, I didn't send it to you. This is horrific because I completely forgot. It's the quick fire 5. This is the fun element.
Oh, okay, all right.
Five simple questions.
Yeah.
I love how you've got no prep time. Right.
My brain's a bit. Yeah, go on.
Your favourite alcoholic drink?
Oh, that's easy. Vodka lime and soda.
Nice. Favourite food? Healthy or unhealthy? Don't care.
Chicken fajita with all the gubbins.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
Favourite body part to train or your favourite exercise?
Oh, shoulders.
Snap. What's your favourite exercise for shoulders?
So I love to get in. I like the lat raises, the pump.
Yes, there's one man in the world who agrees with me.
I love them. Love them.
Oh, I
could go forever on those because my shoulders pump up really quick, and I just love that feeling.
I'm glad you said that. I had a podcast a few weeks ago with a trainer, and it was like, if you could choose one exercise in the world, what would it be? And he was like, deadlift, and I was like, lat raise, and his face was like,
yeah, lat raise.
Lat raise. What's your dream job?
Oh, good one. I'd be a pop star or a TV presenter.
Oh, that's good. That is good. The pay packet would be nice for the pop star. I can imagine you in a boy band, mate.
Oh, I did it once.
Did you? What were they called? Get Real.
We never made it. I know what you can't find it anywhere.
Ah.
I was in one.
That was going to be the intro music.
I have got a CD somewhere.
I'll send it
to you.
Yeah, send it over. I'll just find a random boy band that's really, really bad and just play it at the start.
Well, actually, it was a boy-girl band.
Oh.
Yeah. And I can't sing, so how I got in it, I'll never know.
Don't worry.
I seriously can't at all.
Listen to Steps, mate. They've got 2 men, and I've never heard them say a word in their songs.
Yeah. They made me go on my own to record my bits because I was so awful.
I want to be in that band. Right, let's start a boy band, right? Or girl band, or a mixed band. Let's start.
Yeah.
We'll do that. We'll lip sync. And finally, we've led on to this. What's your favourite music to train to?
Oh, it's got to be. See, I love loads of music, but it's always something like Defected in the House, Head Candy, anything sort of Ibiza dance tunes.
Nice. Have you got any particular songs you love? This is going to be impossible, top of your head, probably. If you could whittle it down to two bangers to add to our playlist.
Yeah, I mean, things like some of the things that just pop into my head because I love going to Ibiza and I've always done that for quite a few years. Things like Shapeshifters, Lola's theme, things like that. Those old classics. But I definitely always love those compilations because you always find a song or a remix you've never heard before in that way, and then you can't stop playing it.
Yeah.
You're sicking yourself with it, and then you have to find another one. You have to listen to about 15 compilations to find another one that gets you really going when you're doing your cardio. But lots of them tend to be like, house, dance tunes. That's all the stuff I play. I don't really have heavy metal or anything like that on my playlist.
Well, hopefully
it's all like dance music.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to go back to raves. You never know.
Oh God, can you imagine how we took that for granted? I only went not even 2 years ago. I went to Ibiza, and it was just little did I know that was the last time for quite a while.
Yeah, I think I did 8 years in a row, mate. So it's all been shut down. I'm looking at meant to be going to a State of Trance this year, which is back to the old trance music, but whether that will happen, who knows?
Yeah.
Mate, that's a wrap, mate. That's a wrap.
Wow, thank you.
No, well,
that's good.
Thank you for coming.
That made me think.
Thank you so much for coming on. Where can people find you, Kevin? Where can people find you? What your social?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Kev_R_Fitbrit. And I will soon be on YouTube under the Fitbrit umbrella. So they're the 2 places. Yeah, I'm only on that, mate.
Forgot you had your YouTube. This was a practice for your YouTube, you see.
Yeah, so I've got like a lot of topics I want to cover on my YouTube, and I want to do things like this.
Come on.
Yeah, come on. That'd be good. It's just I've just learned so much so quickly, and I feel like when I was doing that, I saw everyone that was the finished product, but no one really talked about the bit before. And I just know for me, I was an emotional eater. I could never lose weight, and everyone said, "You're too old. You're never going to do it now." So I thought, right, I'll show you. And that's all I've really set out to do without being cheesy, but it was about, if you really want to, do it, because I never thought I would, and look what happened. So
nice. Well, thank you very much. And
thank you.
I'll let you sign out with something. I don't know what.
Many a muckle makes a muckle.